And Roberto, I'll move to you. AquaMaof's has been very present in this industry from early days, and we've seen how the company has really tried to develop a global presence and go quite aggressively at this market, and the timing seems to be impeccable. I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about AquaMaof's experience and perhaps just add a comment about the developments in the shrimp industry, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, well, we have been taking more and more part in this industry. We have several projects on the way already. Actually 10 going simultaneously in that case, in different stages of development. Some under design, some under construction, some already commissioned, and some in operation. In terms of shrimp, we have our own dedicated R&D facility in the south of Israel that has been used for years to cultivate different species of fish. The ones that I mentioned before, sea bream and other types. And it's being used lately for the last years to cultivate shrimp by our subsidiary AquaShrimp. We have very good results there, and we hope that we already know that it works for shrimp. I do believe that there will be more presence. We'll be going into more and more projects that are not only salmon and not only smolts, but also yellowtail kingfish, as is already being done so nicely by Ohad and his great team in the Kingfish company, and also grouper, which is a fast-growing fish with very tasty, and all these different types of fish that are going to be more evident in future projects.
Perhaps I'll start with Roberto at AquaMaof's. There's at least two questions asking, which species produces the highest gross margin in the RAS system? Is it still Atlantic salmon? So perhaps I'll start with you.
Well, I believe that each project is different. It's not only the price of the fish, but also a lot of other factors are involved. The initial capex invested, the opex, and the production costs and everything. In this industry, in the RAS land-based industry, it's normally you choose the more premium fish, the premium priced fish like salmon and yellowtail and grouper and the likes. But when we look at it, we try to do two things basically. One is, with time and with improvements, we can actually lower the initial capex involved on the terms of the technology itself first, and then on how it implicates or affects the construction cost in that sense. And the second is the OPEX, the production costs. Now, it starts with the design. It starts when you invest in the design when you think of the design of the system itself, to do two things. One, to lower the consumption or the use of energy and water as much as you can, and second, in putting inside the technology, inside the design, as much redundancy and firewalls and whatever you can to avoid any malfunctions and failures and everything. And there is a careful balance between that. We base our design according to more physical elements than mechanical ones, so that we use gravity more to reduce the use of pumps, for example. We use settlers instead of drum filters that are mechanical elements that consume a lot of energy. We apply a DNS system that conserves the water and allows for recycling of the water to be reused into the system. So when you start with the design, and the design itself is enabling to lower the production cost, then it makes the entire business more financially viable, at least.
There are one or two questions on the still we see catastrophic losses. We do have questions on Atlantic Sapphire. I think Roberto, I'd like to go to you. I won't put you on the spot by asking you what's going on at Atlantic Sapphire, but perhaps we do see. I mean, even from within the salmon industry, we see still a lot of big losses at the post-smolt facilities. How do you think from the engineering side, this major challenge can be solved?
Well, first, you're not troubling me at all, because I have no idea what happened there. It's not that we are involved or anything. I am quite disappointed to hear what happened there, and Atlantic Sapphire is one of the biggest industry leaders here, and whatever they do is affecting the entire industry, for better or for worse. And I hope that they will recuperate soon from that. I believe that our investors and our partners and our customers are smart people who understand that there are different technologies, even within this niche of RAS. There are different technologies. There are many differences between those technologies and between those projects. Each project is very different from one another. It has different parameters, different challenges, different water sources and water parameters, etc. And all of these things need to be taken into consideration when you are taking on this RAS facility for yourself. I think it's rather, I don't know, to blame the technology on anything that is going on, only the technology is at fault, is like blaming, it's like shunning the automotive industry because someone had a car accident. It's not true. As I said before, we do take precaution measures in the early design of these projects. I already mentioned what we do in the design and the redundancy factors that we put in, the firewalls, all these measures to pre-assess and see in advance, foresee in advance any failures, any malfunctions that can happen. We are very much involved with our customers, and we support them and accompany them throughout the design and construction, and as much as we can also throughout the operation. And we're very much involved to the extent that they allow us to be. And in this way, we can ensure that not only the technology is sound and reliable, but also the practices themselves throughout the production.
Yeah, well, but I do want to pose this question as well to one or two others, just to get the sort of full picture here. I think this is a really intriguing part of what's going on. Roberto, from AquaMaof's position in the world, you guys look at the entire planet. Where do you see the capital coming from? But to date, we've seen it come a lot from Nordic investors and one or two groups in the US. Do you think that we'll see a more global spread of investment, or just more of the same?
Well, I'm not a financial expert, but I can say that it starts with entrepreneurs. It starts with people that want to establish these projects and take on the sustainable and environmentally friendly and local production and food safety, all these important principles, and also the profitability, of course, of fish farming. And I think that capital comes from a lot of, from many different resources. It is also evident that the big market leaders, such as Nutrico, Skretting, and others, are also investing in land-based projects. that just goes to show that they believe in this industry. They believe in the successfulness of these projects, and it's going to be more and more evident as more and more projects are coming through the pipeline.